Hi everyone, No Respawns here, hope you're having a grand week. So in this video I'm going to give you a comprehensive guide on how to utilise and maintain and make significantly better cargo links in your outposts within Starfield. So cargo links are one of the less well-designed aspects of Starfield, I'll be utterly honest. It's fixable. In terms of by you, the player. Also, it's one of those things that I think Bethesda will probably end up addressing, because when it's their baby, they are generally quite good at fixing. If it's not a graphical thing, they can generally fix things like this quite well. But I am going to kind of explain what the issues are and how they affect the game and how to at least alleviate some of the issues. Because initially, I was just like, oh god, this sucks. It still doesn't, not great, but you can sort of do a system that makes it workable, or makes it work how you hoped it would work, shall we say. But let's start with a positive. I've made one look quite nice. So this is my outpost on the, I think it's the Tau Ceti system. And I haven't decorated this one with furniture and bits, but I've decorated it with the bigger elements, mainly because this is kind of the second outpost that I was setting up to kind of play around with the cargo link system. I've named it Ferax, so all of my outposts, I finally landed on a naming convention I like. They're named after Titan legions from Warhammer, because I play the Adeptus Titanicus war game quite a lot with mates. It's amazing, by the way. In a rare stroke of well-designed rules, Games Workshop seem to have knocked that one out of the park. Maybe they gave it to someone who actually likes making board games as opposed to making money. But it's very good, can recommend. Anywho, cargo links. So this is how I've designed it. Vanilla cargo link looks a bit so I recommend putting these big containers around. I do like using the watchtower as a sort of like, it's like a flight control area. I'm going to decorate that with a load of terminals. It's going to look pretty cool. I've also put that little to-ship cargo thing over there. This looks quite nice. Right, so let's exit. And I'm going to list off a couple of things which you'll begin to see the issues with cargo links. So first and foremost, let's go to the outpost section here. Let's go to the top level. Right, so cargo links. Here we go. So there are two kinds of cargo link and cargo link intersystem. This one just works where if it's in the same system as another cargo link, so not an intersystem one, you could link them together and they don't need helium-3, which is very, very helpful because a lot of the planets that have really good resources won't have a local helium-3 resource that you can utilize. So what you can do is have an intersystem cargo link and a normal cargo link and link the helium-3 outpost to the one that has all the cool resources. This feature I really do like about this is the fact is that periodically, fairly regularly actually, you will have these big ships land. It's quite noisy, but it does look very cool. And that also explains one thing as well, why the landing pad is separate. It makes sense. Initially, I was like really confused why I couldn't land my ship here. It's because otherwise, you know, it would get crushed. So it's a bit annoying having to have two landing pads, but you can make it work. Right, now this is where the issues come. So you may notice I've got built 1 to 6. So normally it's built 1 to 3, but if you have the outpost management skill, you can build up to 6 cargo links. So I can link this outpost directly to 6 other outposts. Now you may think to yourself, that's fine, because I can make a kind of little network where, you know, it's 6 outposts, but they're linked to like loads and it's fine. So the first little hurdle in that little plan, my friend, is that this cargo link here can only be linked to one other outpost. So if I want to link this to another outpost, you're guessing it, I have to build a second cargo link. Which means if I want to link this to 6 outposts, I have to have 6 big landing platforms around my outpost, which give you an idea. I think I've got the resource to build like a few of them. It's gonna get, oopsie, a little bit, oh we go, I haven't got enough, but you can see my point. Yeah, that's going to get very, 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 very annoying. And also it means I'll have to decorate them, make them look nice. It's just very obtuse. And that means if you have 6 outposts and you want to link each outpost to each other, that's going to be, I think 36 cargo links you're going to need. So that's the first issue, and it is an absolute pain in the ass. I have a way to solve this, so stay on, but that's my first rant. For those of you who played Fallout 4 will know the way the supply line system works is much more straightforward. I can just, once I get the skill, I can just link any settlement to any other settlement, and they immediately share resources. On to the next point. It's just why this isn't as well designed as Fallout 4's cargo settlement system. is in Fallout 4, what would happen is when I link a settlement, they would share their workshop storage. So your workshop storage is an unlimited storage that each settlement has. So in this instance, it would be, if I just go here so I can zoom in a bit more. So you see this here, this outpost beacon. This in Fallout 4 would be your workshop. And I can deposit resources into this, and it links automatically to every single workbench. I think, have I got any workbenches here? Oh, there's one over here. So there's a workbench. It'll be linking there. So basically, you just go on your settlement, just drop all of your junk in there, and it would immediately become available to use here. And if you linked that to a different settlement's workbench, those settlements would then share resources immediately. These do not work that way. What you actually need to do is physically receive the resources from the other outposts first. So I need to send them off, and they need to come back, and it's only the resources I've received that then become available, and vice versa for the other outpost. That's another issue. And the final issue, I think this might be the final issue, is that because we don't have unlimited storage in this little workbench, well, this doesn't even have a workbench, we don't have unlimited storage, it means what can happen is these can fill up. So currently, this is actually only an outgoing outpost. So this isn't actually receiving anything. It's just sending stuff off. But its target area, its target outpost, or rather the end of my chain, which is what I'm going to get to, did fill up really, really fast. I was getting really confused because what happened, this was my first outpost that I made like a couple of days ago, and it's producing aluminium, right? And my other outpost, which is named Ataris, my Mars one, which I showed in my early outpost video, is kind of the one, my main player outpost, the one I'm going to put a lot more effort in designing and kind of adding cool bits to. And I added 5 other outposts, and I was getting really confused why a lot of the resources weren't being delivered. And what it was is all of the containers that I'd linked to this, which I'll show you how to link containers in a sec, had filled up. So it was just stopping. So what I ended up having to do was build a lot more containers to accommodate all the new resources, because they were all just full of like 2,000 aluminium. So that's a pain in the arse. So that's it. Basically, you have to be a bit obtuse with linking. There's no direct immediate sharing of resources, and you don't have unlimited storage. I genuinely think they're going to probably fix this. The unlimited storage isn't a really easy thing to fix. They just make it so these just have unlimited storage. I think they're going to do that one anyway, because I think they had an idea in mind. They wanted to use your cargo of your ship a little bit more, but it's just so unfeasible with the amount of stuff you get. And the other stuff in terms of changing the number of links you can make, that'll be a bit more of a lot of work on Bethesda. But again, I do generally think when it's their baby game, the one that they're putting all of their time and focus on, they are fairly good at addressing this kind of things. I remember we had the whole copper issue in Fallout 4 where every single thing used copper, and they just scrapped that entire feature completely because it was just becoming way too obtuse. So right, firstly, let's tell you how to set up a cargo link straight off the bat. So you need to take the cargo link down. Generally, it's an inter-system one. I don't actually have any local system ones, but I think I'm going to soon, because I'm probably going to have to start finding more rarer resources that won't necessarily be on places with helium-3. So first and foremost, it needs to be fueled by helium-3. So what I like to do, as I said, when I'm building one of my outposts, I like to land it on a planet with a helium-3 resource and a resource I need to have available. In this instance, it was aluminium. So I've got all of these helium-3 extractors, and as you can see, and what you do, actually, I'll delete it, so you can just see. You just hover over it, create outpost link, and you just link it to where it needs to go. It's very important to note you need to go from that to that, not the other way around, otherwise it's going to take the stuff out of it. It's very important it needs to come from where you want it to go. And then for the extractors, well, I've actually got one of the helium-3 also doing it, mainly because this was linking to Mars and I didn't get any helium-3. So this mineral extractor is just linking directly to the outgoing container, which is, I think, is the red one. Is it actually a different color? I think it's red when you place it, but this outgoing one on the left here. Outgoing there, and you link those there in the exact way. So you go to them, it links, and that means when this then flies off, it will take whatever resources are in there off to the outpost it's going to. Really, really simple, really straightforward. I will show a bit more, but if this were my home outpost, or if I wanted to, for example, share resources directly, I would then have outgoing, and I would link stuff. I could either leave it in the outgoing container, or I can link it to one of these boxes. Now, I can link these to any of these boxes, and depending on what the resource is, it'll deposit it in the corresponding resource. So, for example, you may notice that some of these are for solid materials, some of these are for, gas, and there's water ones here, and then there's manufactured goods here. And this is one of the issues I was having, is that this had filled up, and then the boxes I was pointing to had also completely filled up with the solid materials I was aiming for. One thing to note, which I do like, and I was just like, oh, this is at least pleasantly surprising. Anything in that outgoing, or anything in the incoming container, and anything in any of these large storage containers is immediately available for you to use in that outpost. You don't have to get it out. So that's at least handy. You don't have to go, right, now I have to go pick that stuff up. And you can make, for example, supply chains where if you have a manufacturing machine here, you can link all of them to your, if whatever you're manufacturing, and eventually you can have automated manufacturing, and then the manufacturing can link to, a warehouse, and etc., etc. So that's how you set them up. It's kind of, that part is fairly straightforward. One thing you don't want to forget, which I did forget, because I was really confused, is that why isn't it working, is you need to actually connect it. So if the lights are green, that means it's connected to an outpost, by the way. So then you go to the thing. Actually, it's because this hasn't got a free one available. Oh, yeah, so it's actually already linked. So I think it's because the other one's linked the other way. So I can't actually remove links, so I will demonstrate it. But you go to the control console, and it will actually set up the link there. I think it's because I've already set that link up. Right, so that's the basics of how to set them up. Right, so now you're asking, how the hell do I link multiple outposts together? It's actually quite simple. You need to have a supply chain distribution outpost. So that's what I've gone and done. Let me show you where it is. So we're currently on Mars. Back we go. Oh, no, we're not. We're on Tal Ceti. I lie. We're on Tal Ceti. So what I've gone and done is I have a place called, I think it's Gladius, on Voli Gamma. Bum, 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 bum. And Gladius here has 6 of the cargo links. 5 of the cargo links are sending resources directly to Gladius, right? So there's that one, and I won't show you them all, but you'll be able to see it. You can see it because it's got the little thing. So Jaffa, there's one, they're all around. There's one there. Jaffa, Latana, that one, and there's a few others. So there's basically 5 going to it, and then it's receiving all of those resources, and then it is then sending those resources over to Mars and my base Ataris. So what's happening is 5 of my outposts are going to this distribution outpost, and then that distribution outpost is sending it to my end goal. It's not ideal, because an ideal world, I'd be able to share the resources just equally between. Because what it means is that because, for example, the Tal Ceti outpost isn't actually receiving any of these resources. If I wanted to build stuff in there, I'd still probably have to grab some bits and bring it back to there, already shove them on my ship. Whereas in the Sol system, I've got everything at the end point. It's not ideal, but how I'm going to kind of work this, unless they hopefully do kind of revamp the system a little bit, is all of my kind of interesting manufacturing is going to all happen on this one planet, and then all of the other outposts are basically just going to be resource outposts that exist to feed that outpost. It's not as good as it was in Fallout 4, but as you can see, you can make it work. So let's just quickly visit Gladius. I'll show you how it works, and I'm going to visit the Mars system, and we can actually we can see how the fruits of my labor. One more. Right, so this is Gladius. This might get a little bit noisy, so I have to pay attention to the game volume in this one. So as you can see, it's got the 6 cargo links. It gets very, very loud because it's got 6 ships constantly landing and going. It's actually kind of cool. And what I'm thinking of doing is turning my headphones down for starters. It won't be as loud for you guys, don't worry. But for me, it was actually deafening. What I'm thinking of doing is, this could actually look like quite a cool looking distribution outpost. So I'm not too bothered about this one having to exist. It's just, it would be very annoying to have this in every single outpost that you have. So let me just kind of go over how this one works. So this outpost, if I check the resources available in here, this one just was iron and helium. I've got all of these helium extractors feeding helium into this large gas container. And then this gas container is feeding all of these helium-3. To be honest, I probably have way more helium-3 than I need, but I didn't want to ever run out. Then what's happening is these are receiving resources from all of those other outposts. And as you see, you've got the incoming there, and that incoming is all going to the outgoing of this one outpost, which apparently has run out of helium-3 for some weirdo reason. This is why I needed all the helium-3. To be fair, ignore that when it says the operating cost. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It'll just mean it maybe slow them down completely imperceptibly. So all of these are then feeding stuff to the outgoing container, which is then being shipped off to the end goal outpost, which is a Taurus. It's quite a cool little setup. To be honest, I quite like this setup. And when it was actually set up and I saw all the ships, when I've got all of the cargo containers and kind of made this look a little bit more built out, it's going to look quite cool. Yes, I will be doing a video on this, don't you worry. But I just resent the idea that potentially we needed to have this in every single outpost, because it is just so loud. You could potentially turn this into one giant manufacturing hub. And, you know, we have, as you can see, the build limit. You absolutely have the build limit to do it. It's just quite obtuse. And it's more like you're being forced to do it rather than something cool that you'd want to do, you know, because it's fun. So, right, so that's my distribution hub. This distribution hub then goes to my end outpost. Before I go there, just one thing as well. Let's say I wanted more than 6. What I would do is just have another distribution hub in this chain. So instead of going to a Taurus, this would go to a different outpost, which in itself is another distribution hub. And that distribution hub would have its other, in this case, 4 other outposts, because it would still need to come from here and then go to a Taurus. And that would be 4 other resources, and it would work the same way. So what I would have is, say, let's pretend this is the other outpost. This one here would have its incoming. It would probably go into a load of big containers, so it wouldn't get confusing. Dropping off there, and then the other 4 would then, which is actually probably what I'm going to eventually do. All feeding a Taurus. Right, so let me just show you a Taurus, the end result, and we can see all my lovely resources in their cozy home on Mars. One mo. And we are here. So this is my main outpost. This is the one I showed in my video, my early outpost video, in fact. I've added just basically a couple of bits. I haven't done too much development on it. I haven't actually added a landing pad, and I've got the end cargo link. I haven't actually decorated this cargo link yet because I was still kind of setting it up properly. But as you can see, it actually says incoming resources, helium-3, copper, aluminium, the ones I can't pronounce the name of, beryllium, gold, and the other one I can't pronounce the name of. And then they all go into these containers and these containers because they were filling up fast. Specifically, the aluminium was the problem. And that then becomes available. So still waiting for the beryllium to come in because I think that one's only just been set up. But as you go through, I've got loads of iron. I've got absolutely shit tons of aluminium. I think I'm just going to have to go and either dump that in the space. The problem with the aluminium basically is that one, the Talseti outpost, has been running for ages and it just filled up all the boxes. It's a bit of a pain in the arse. Lead is actually mined here. And the other ones I think are more... the alkanes, yeah, I think they haven't actually come in as well. So I need to sort of... I think the issue a little bit with this one is purely because the aluminium has actually been spamming up. But you can actually take a look in some of the boxes. So I think this one I saw some gold in. So there we go. Gold. Near that one. There's that one up there as well. It's got some stupid aluminium. And I remember when I was running out of aluminium. This is why, like, a lot of the resources you're probably not going to worry about as much as you think. I have a not sneaking suspicion that the aluminium is actually taking up all of my transport space, which is why it hasn't sent any of the gas yet. I think that might be the case. So I might have to do a little bit of shenanigans to actually get all the gas being sent. But other than that, it's ostensibly coming in. What I might actually do is just turn off the aluminium or solid resources for a little bit. So that's it, basically. Currently, you have to do some pretty obtuse shenanigans to get it working the way you like, but it is absolutely workable. I do generally think they will probably address this, because apparently Reddit is kind of not happy. I don't blame them, to be honest, and I know for a fact that Bethesda do watch community videos and read community feedback. I know they watch my videos, for example, so please watch this video, Bethesda, and maybe consider just making this a little bit more straightforward. I hope that alleviates a little bit of stress for you guys. I said, I know it's a pain in the ass, but you will get there. As I said, I think the supply line route is the best. And to be honest, having one or maybe two outposts that you focus a little bit more energy on is probably a better use of your time. And narratively, it possibly makes a lot more sense. You know, you've got your actual main outpost and then the others are sort of feeding it. But I kind of wish we could just link them all together. Anywho, as always, follow me on Twitter at norespawns. Follow me on Instagram at norespawns2. Not norespawns2, just norespawns as well. I've got a video planned. I'm going to be setting up my hydroponics and my animal breeding program soon, so that'll be incoming. As well, I do want to actually dabble in being a little bit more creative in the shipbuilding. Currently, I've just been making Frontier bigger and longer, nicely designed, but ultimately I want to actually see if I can kind of make some fancy things. So those videos will be a comment. Look at that man just flexing at me. All right, bruv, all right, calm down, I'm leaving. So yeah, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Let me know if you have any tips surrounding Outpost. There might be some bits I've missed in terms of cargo linking especially. And yeah, I'll speak to you lovely bunch soon. You take care.